Welcome everyone, I'm Steve Bowman. We have Tutissa Bowman and the wonderful Dr. David Kubes, who's live from the castle in Castle Borgoni at the moment. So we wanted to have a chat about benevolent capitalism at work, how it actually shows itself in this world.
What we are talking about today is that there are different possibilities for us to lead our life and run our business and generate money. So it's more like, what would it take for us to still make money, but from a space of doing no damage and create sustainable future and sustainable reality for everyone concerned? Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, implemented that philosophy of being benevolent capitalism at work into many of his projects.
So David, can you just give us some background behind how the castle at Castle Borgoni in Italy came about and where you see the benevolent capitalism actually starting to work?
The project started in a benevolent way because there was no plan. There was just the knowing, the choice, okay, let's do that. We knew we were going to do it without having a plan, which allowed us to take the project organically, let the project adjust to what was required to finally get created. At the same time, knowing that we want to create the business. So it's not this just, okay, let's do it and have fun and be chaotic. It was knowing what we want without limiting ourselves by following a certain plan that we made years ago. We closed the deal when we bought the castle without having a detailed plan in place. And this actually allowed us to go to develop the project as it shows up.
It's functioning from generative moment of what else is possible all the time with no fixed point of view about how anything's supposed to be.
And talking about financing, of course, we did a standard bank financing as everybody else. What we did different, we used the local bank. There is one bank that has a little branch here in Castel Borgone, and we went to that bank. Would other banks have given us better conditions? Of course. But we chose that bank because we knew this is the way to connect. And this is actually how we started the project. Once we bought the property, we connected with the locals. And one commitment was to use as many locals and as many local businesses when we do the renovation. So we didn't come in with one of the big players from Milan or from Rome or Torino. We actually used local workers, and by this supported the community. When we were in at the peak of our renovation, we had 30 people working here, and they were all locals. And this is how they actually were part of bringing the whole little town of Castel Borgone back to life.
One of my favourite stories, David, is where the renovations hadn't completed, but all of the furniture was there. So you placed all the furniture in as if it was a fully completed renovation. And and that was done in one evening. And when the workers came back the next day, they were very concerned because they'd have to be working with all this beautiful furniture in there. So they started treating it like their own home. They started to sweep up. They started to take care of everything. So it changed it from being a work site to actually people feeling the honour of working in something that was actually like their home. That's benevolence at work too. That's looking at it from a very different perspective.
And the amazing things about Gary Douglas is that he has the perception of possibilities, the perception of future and now and the past that can be integrated together into create something that beyond what any of us could ever consider. Can you talk more about that since you work very closely with him?
What he did at the castle, we were combining past, present and future. So when we were renovating the place, we were looking into, okay, what's there and why did it work? And why would we change that? We don't have air condition. We are using the natural way the place cools itself. That also requires a certain level of allowance for technical perfection.
But the whole project has been created from the true question, choice, possibilities, and contribution. So it's never from planning and never from fixed point of view. So it's constantly changing and shifting.
We always were choosing what would create the most on a long run. And when we said on a long run, we actually looked at the castle. The first time the castle was mentioned on a paper as a building was in the year 999 AD. So we were looking, okay, what will create the most for the next 800 to 1000 years? Because the castle will be here for sure. It was here for 1000 years. It'll be here for another 1000 years. We might not, but the castle will. We always were choosing what will create the most. And sometimes it was far beyond the cheapest offer, not only by the materials we used or the way we renovated, also by the people we were choosing to do the work. So for all the work that needs maintenance, we were choosing the one who lives in Casa Borgone. They treat it like their own child now. It's being benevolent and creating a project that will generate a profit doesn't mean that you have to go for the cheapest and that you have saved money. What I learned in this project is saving money and cutting costs can never create more.
One of the interesting things, David, is, and you've said this a couple of times, is that that we're aware of the money, but the money did not dictate how we should do things. And one of the interesting things here is that every time there was more money required, the investors, which also we're part of that team as well, the investors would create more money. They wouldn't invest more money, they would create more money. So through the activities, the work that they did. So it wasn't like drawing down on a dwindling supply. The supply actually increases because each of the investors was actually creating rather than spending. And that's a very interesting way of looking at this whole benevolent capitalism. Is it's not about spending a finite sum of money. It's always about creating more. If you want to save money, just create more.
It is. And this is, I would say it is a motivation for everyone involved to step up and do more. We knew it will cost more, but nobody was like, oh my God, we are over the budget. We never had a budget, so we can't, that was the good part. But it actually motivated everyone being involved to create more.
It's a new way of doing and being business that is very rare still on this planet.